Well, it's early in the morning, baby, when I ride, Lordy Mama. Well, it's early in the morning, baby, when I ride. Well, when it's early in the morning, baby, when I ride, baby, you have a nice head of
حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم الله أكبر الله أكبر
What she did today, she changed the law in Islam, which has never been touched for more than 1400 years, which is that women always pray behind men. This has been accepted throughout any other country you go, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, wherever you want to go. This is what Islam says, this is what the law says, that women pray behind men.
This is the normal routine. This is the regular medications I have to take. That for soil, estrogen, that for high blood pressure, that for low potassium, that for arthritis, that for depression, and 2 of these for deficiency in iron. Just so people understand that jihad means struggle, including the personal struggle.
My skin is black. My arms are long. My hair is woolly. And my back is strong. Strong enough to take the pain that's been inflicted again and again.
The beginning of Islam in America, or American Islam, was where? In the African American community.
That's what we started with.
What was now the largest ethnic group of Americans that are Muslim, African Americans.
You should now take over the leadership of the black Muslims?
No, I have no desire to take over the leadership of the black Muslims, and I have never had that desire. But I do have this desire. I have a desire to see the Afro-American in this country get the human rights that are his due to make a complete human being.
Are you the least bit afraid of what might happen to you as a result of making these revelations?
Oh, yes. I probably am a dead man already.
What year was it Malcolm X died? 1963. What does this article lead you to believe, which Gabriel inadvertently expressed? That Islam in America began with Muslim immigrants. Why do you think there is a problem between immigrant Americans and African Americans?
Because they've got different interpretations of what Islam can be. I mean, I'm trying to find an example of it.
Okay,
but
so immigrant Americans and African Americans have a diversity of interpretations. There are overlaps, crossroads, and there are distinctions. The biggest distinction is the definition of authority, and the second one is the definition of justice. That's why African Americans came to Islam, for justice that they did not experience as citizens of this country. But they have no authority, according to the government and the immigrant Muslims. African Americans form 44% of the Muslims in the United States, so they are the largest ethnic group. The Quran stresses justice, and African Americans recognize that under racist laws in America, they were not living a life of justice. I was also very strongly conscious of the racial movement because that was the time just after the 60s with riots and Malcolm X, and I became interested in, well, where is my destiny? I realized that as an African descent from a slave woman, that I had a choice about my body, so I changed my dress. I became a vegetarian. I took care of the fullness of me, and the Quran and learning about Islam opened my mind to a higher level of understanding of the relationship between all of the universe and the idea of justice.
And indeed, you will have the most exalted character. So we know that's true of Prophet Muhammad. But the Quran uses the pronoun ka again. Not who for him. The Quran doesn't say he will have the best character. The Quran says you will have the best character. That's what it says. So it means, why? Oh, you and you and you and me. If we do what? If we are believers, not just Muslims. That's what it's saying. That's what the Quran is telling us. And remember, we're talking about how do we establish a masjid that's an institution, but an institution that stands the test of time over periods of long, long years through the life of many people. And you can look back in their history and say, well, I remember so-and-so did such and such, and so-and-so did such and such. And then 100 years from now, our grandchildren can say, oh, I remember when they had that little small place there on Chimborazo. Now they got the whole city of Richmond, or the whole eastern part of Virginia, or the whole eastern seaboard, or all the United States. Allahu Akbar.
We have a very long history since 1934-35 with the Nation of Islam. However, we broke from that and went into the mainstream of al-Islam when Imam Wafiddin Muhammad, the son of Elijah Muhammad, took over the leadership. We're all very active in the community. We have a program that deals with drug addiction, alcohol addiction, or any kind of addiction that the human being may have. Based on Quran and Sunnah is how we deal with it.
sun is going down. I sit behind that old western hill.
Dr. Amina Wadud. Hi, Dr. Wadud. This is Testimony House from your Sufism class. I'm calling to let you know that I wasn't in your class today because I'm kind of mind.
Professor Wadud brings an enormous value by bringing her expertise on Islam. She's an excellent scholar. Her writings, her book on women in the Quran has been translated into, I've lost count of the languages, but recently it was published in Dutch. So she brings a stature and a prestige as well. Not long after the prayer service that she led, there was a lot of activity on the internet that included threatening types of language. So they felt that there was a risk to the security of Professor Wadud, her students, and so under the professional advice of the security experts, it was felt that it would be better if she was not teaching in a publicly accessible, identifiable place.
This is VCU. GW, do you have your techie in there? Hi there. Do you have a phone line that we can do a conference call? Because your audio is not coming in well at all. And I have a speakerphone that will pick up a lot better as far as the audio goes.
Dr. Wadud, I'm wondering, could you tell us just a little bit about this trip you took recently to Spain, and was this trip in connection at all with the establishment of an Islamic gender studies program?
They knew the title of my upcoming book, Inside the Gender Jihad, Reform and Justice in Islam, and they had never heard of the combination of the word jihad taken from its dictionary origins in relationship to gender. So they've decided that now there's a new gender jihad going on in Spain. When I entered Islam and began to live among Muslims in other countries and participate in events in the United States, the most horrific things were being said and done with regard to women in the name of the religion, and I found this to be incongruent with my notion of God. So I purposely decided I'm going to find out what is the position of women in Islam, and if it was in fact what I was seeing, the marginalization, the silence, the abuse, then I just could not be Muslim because I could not perform my love for God within those restrictions. I have for 25 years, I think, been very conscientious of the injustice on the basis of gender. And when I was confirmed by my study that there were always a variety of opinions among the jurists, and that some leaned more heavily towards the divine spirit of a woman's full agency, and some tried to reduce her to agents of men and the family, and did not let her also complete her agency before Allah as the primary obligation, then I said we need to balance the picture. And the balance in the picture means more gender mainstreaming for women in every area of public and private practice, and for men in every area of public and private practice, so that they wash the dishes and they serve tea, because Allah says that all deeds will be recognized.
Come on, Ali. My throat's here. Mine does too. Let's go. Come on, guys.
a woman leading the prayer, it's very distracting for a man. Or if there's a mixed congregation, it's distracting for a man because of the type of salah that we do. It's not just a sitting down prayer or a kneeling prayer. We have different postures,
When a man is supposed to be concentrating on God, that he will be distracted by a woman who's concentrating on God. Now that is very low level of decision regarding the level of etiquette of a man, to say that he is such an animal that although he is supposed to be Allah's highest potential creation, he cannot control his basic animal ego because another woman is also trying to communicate with Allah. And they tell you this is actually a reason. This reason doesn't exist in the Quran. This reason doesn't exist in the Sunnah. This reasoning didn't even exist in early fiqh, but it became very communally accepted, and women also began to be embarrassed for themselves. It's like, oh no, I can't stand there because, I don't know what the men will be. The men should have their minds and their hearts on Allah. And therefore Allah says, the whole earth is a masjid, a place for prayer. You can pray anywhere. You can pray behind a woman. You can go to Mecca, you can pray next to a woman. There's a woman in a line in front of you. This is nonsense. This is just something that they have taken from certain types of juridical interpretations that support the patriarchy and misogyny that keeps men in authority and also limits women from their full potential as being servants and agents of Allah. I don't accept that. I cannot accept that and truly go to my Lord and say, I've done the best I could with the guidance that you have provided. All the imams were on a committee. They couldn't agree on praying together, but they managed to all agree to write a letter to the university asking that I be fired.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. So, if they can't get together to pray, but they can get together to try to destroy a woman's personal life. These
decisions that they are making are things that the community as a whole is totally unaware of. And I think that that's terrible, even when it come down to where we're going to pray or who's going to lead a khutbah. It's only a few people who are making decisions for the people. And that's not the way the Prophet wants us to do. That's why he sat down and he talked with the men, the women, the children. Everybody knew.
Right.
They want to get you fired. They want you to close down your business. It's unnerving. It's unnerving.
And there's nobody, there's no women on these consultative bodies.
No. So, I run into all kind of conflicts because there are times when I read the Quran where I know that my obedience is to Allah and follow His instructions, and I see the sad aspect of the psychological ego that the men have in the community, which is the abuse and the oppression of women that Allah has ordered us not to, for us to stop this kind of behavior in the past. And it's just changed today into a new way of bringing it about, but the same things are still taking place. We have no voice.
Right.
It's like you're alive in the world, but you are like in solitary confinement. You can't speak up.
Right.
And to be choked at the throat,
right,
in your home, in the masjid,
right,
is unforgivable.
Right.
And that hurts. Right. To come from anybody, white or black, to treat anybody like that, whether it's an Islamic or secular political situation. We have no voice, and that hurts me to this day.
Right.
Black is the color of my true love's hair. His face so soft and wondrous fair, the purest eye, and the strongest hand.
If, as every prayer and every indication in the Quran is true, that Allah is Akbar, then there can be no relationship between one human being and another human being except on the basis of horizontal reciprocity. Horizontal reciprocity means that it is possible to exchange positions without disrupting the honor and the dignity of one and another. That is, no one is above someone else. This paradigmatic way of looking at the world is one reason why it is difficult for some men to accept reciprocity. Because if there is an exchange, then the man comes to the bottom. So if you want to know my basic philosophy behind the future that I am looking for in the context of women and men, the context of heterosexuals and non-heterosexuals, in the context of the rich and the poor, the powerful and the weak, is that they acknowledge only that as human beings, they are on a horizontal line of mutual reciprocity. One is never more human than the other because their positions are exchangeable. Allah says in the Quran, we can bring down the mighty to positions of weakness. That's because Allah is Akbar. Allah is on top.
My favorite client keeps a stimulating conversation in here all the time. And it just so happens that today we're in here solo. We don't have any other people in here to keep it going like we ordinarily would, because I try to be peaceful and listen, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Come on back. And so we always find ourselves in conversations about women and politics and the latest and what's going on with
the world.
The world.
And as quiet as she says she has very deep insight. I wear hijab for choice. African women who were brought to this country did not have a choice about how they were going to be dressed. They were stripped naked, including Muslim women, and put on the auction blocks. And so, as I said, many conscientious people wear something on their heads and wear longer clothes. So I did before I was Muslim. I covered my hair and I wore long clothes. And it's a very clear symbol, an identifier of my perspective, which...
Thank you for choosing indigo. May I help you?
But I loved being identified with the Muslim woman. But I did not like the fact that people often did not recognize me as African American. So as I got older, after 30 years of wearing the hijab, including wearing niqab for 4 years, I began to graduate towards more flexibility. So in more formal settings, I keep the hijab. And when I cut the grass, I don't wear anything. Or if I go to the gym, I might wear long pants and a t-shirt, but I don't put anything on my hair. Oh, honey, I was completely helpless. And I was carrying the laptop in my bag, so going from one end of the airport to the other, I was exhausted. Oh, yeah. I'm very pleased with the way it's going this time.
So it's doing really well. Come on in, have a seat. Be with you in just a moment.
I need some change for that meter.
Okay.
I'm happy with the progress. When the time comes, just pull it all back.
And as far as the receipt, I'm just going to write something up.
Pull my scarf around. Pin it up.
Thank you.
Same person. Same personality.
How are you? Fine, thanks.
Or why the jurists make connections between Quranic principles of modesty and specific forms of dress that existed in the Arab Peninsula at that time, as if they were the universals rather than the Quran's own articulation, libas al-khayr taqwa. So I ask people, what do the women in the rape camps in Bosnia and Croatia, what do they do when they are stripped naked to be abused by these Serbian soldiers? What do they do when salat time comes? They can't get up and make wudu. They certainly can't make the full ghusl of the bath. They cannot cover themselves. Are you telling me that Allah cannot hear their prayer because of 45 inches of material? There's something fundamentally undivine about such a conclusion. Allah did not say, I'm sorry, you don't have hijab, so I cannot accept your prayer. That's not the way Allah would look at a human being. Because Allah already sees all the way through, not through our clothes only, but to our hearts. It says that the best dress is libas al-khayr taqwa. That's the dress of God consciousness. And God has the capacity to listen and to respond just as much to her or a woman on the street who walks in prostitution because it's the only way that she can make an income to provide for her family, or a woman who doesn't want to pray all the time but still believes in God. That none of these women are any better than any other woman, just as no men are better than a woman. So none of these, all of us are connected because Allah doesn't make decisions based on 45 inches of material, as I like to try to remind people. That Allah's decisions are based on the nafs. Is your heart really true to Islam? Or is it just an idea that you flourishly show off to the people? And all religions have symbols, but the symbols only have meaning as the people have embedded that meaning. And the symbols are not the real thing. The real thing can only be between the heart, the actions, and obedience to Allah. And Allah accepts only the full picture. If you have a hijab and you actually are a hypocrite, Allah recognizes that. If you don't have hijab and you're sincere, Allah recognizes equally. And there's no problem with Allah's vision. She can see.
My skin is black.